going to kick it off then. Thank you again to all of you who've connected and joined, and good morning and good afternoon from where you have connected. This is our fourth bits and bolts session. Slightly different today. The two voices and the faces that you would have seen in the past, Oman and Gabby, are traveling for some work events, and so it's just me. I'm going to cover a slightly longer topic, but we will follow the same format as we have in the past. Again, a reminder that the goal of these sessions was really to make it as relaxed and as interesting as possible, to show you some new tricks or some new features that have been added, and perhaps also some of those that have been there and are less regularly known about or used by some of our partners. So today's topics, we're going to spend time exploring group properties, and really broken up into three different functions that I'd like to show you. The first is obviously the applying of default jobs and profiles, but specifically using one of the new features that we have where there are filters involved. The second is obviously the deployment of those jobs and profiles on a group level, applying or using the same filters that we have available. And then the last is a maintenance window feature that we've added by property or by group property, that allows you to be able to identify a specific group of devices, set a maintenance window, and then although you may have deployed to a larger group or set of devices, that specific folder would be excluded. So let's have a look at those. I'm going to jump into my console to begin. While this specific one, those of you who've joined more regularly will know that we normally refer you to a Knowledge Bytes link. This specific topic is not yet included in Knowledge Bytes, and we expect to be there in the next short while. But I thought I'd take the opportunity to remind those of you who haven't used it to look at our documentation where you would normally need to be able to go and find particular features and functions. We have an older view and a new one, which I'm really enjoying. It's been released in the last couple of months. It's got a really super interactive search, and you'll see I can scroll through as many of these relevant options based on the search that I'm using, and so I'd encourage you to please have a look at those if you need any help, and we expect that our online documentation will move into this new format in the near future. So back to the console. As I mentioned, the grouping has had some changes. We've added the ability to be able to add filtered deployment to devices. So if we begin with just the standard functions that probably some of those of you who have used in the past would be familiar with, a reminder that using the properties field, we are able to go and define a default job or profile. It could be a composite job that includes both, as part of the rules of devices that join this particular group. We do that by adding. We select, and I'm going to take just a random job for the moment. And then you will notice that we have this new window that appears in the last month or so that allows us to be able to filter. And by filter, we can include or exclude specific subgroups or child groups if you use the parent-child type scenario, and exclude or include specific models of devices. So at the moment, obviously, the model on my screen is set as any, but you will see that if I remove any, I have a drop down of all available models that were ever installed into my test console. And I can obviously select as many of these as I'd like, and allow the fact that a particular deployment of a job may be done on a group level, but perhaps only on particular models of devices. And I can imagine that for many of those of you who have joined, this would be really relevant in the past, where you would have to use our filter function as a separate tag. Now you would be able to do this as the deployment on the single device. And the same applies if I was to go to inclusions or exclusions. You would see that I would be able to add specific paths, mine obviously covering some of the territories in Africa that we work in. I would be able to go, as an example, and include specifically the South African devices that would be deployed or would have that job deployed. And so including, well, obviously the filtered deployment is there and available, and you will see that it shows up as it normally did within the default job, and you would recognize that the color of the folder will change to the darker blue color, which was always the indication that there is a job that has been deployed. So we can do this obviously as part of the default group or the default job deployment by group. We also have the ability in what would have normally been the applying a job or deploying a job by group. You will notice that the same filtered option pops up and allows you to be able to go and do that. So I'm going to select the job example again, and you will see exactly what I had shown you before is displayed. The opportunity to be able to include certain groups or exclude certain groups, or deploy based on a specific model or models that you may choose to do. And so I would imagine, again, for the large majority of you who do larger deployments across varied groups for your customers, you will see that this is particularly helpful and particularly handy. The third topic that I wanted to touch on is specifically about the ability to be able to create a maintenance window for a particular group of devices. Again, I'm going to use my home folder, but this would probably be relevant for a subfolder in a practical environment. You will see that I would go to properties again, and there's a new tag or a new available option over here known as device maintenance window. Once I select it, I have the ability to be able to configure. And a use case that I had in the last couple of days was a retail environment. These devices that were being used in retail or the selection from the partner and the customer was that no deployment of jobs are done in these devices during their working hours. And they obviously created a schedule that allowed after hours as being a possibility of continuing. So I'm going to take an example of 1700 hours being the start, and we'll use 06 the following morning as the end. So essentially the evening being the ability to be able to deploy the maintenance schedule. And this can be selected by a group. And then, irrespective of the way that you have deployed a job, provided you have set your configure job deployment. So let me jump to our apply field, and I'm going to show you the configure schedule time option. This, you will notice a new option over here that says schedule within maintenance window. Okay, and once selecting this, based on the maintenance window that's been identified or set per group or subfolder, that job will be held and only deployed within that maintenance window period. A reminder again that this is only available on Android. So the logic again, essentially we would define the maintenance window by group or subgroup, and we would then deploy the job using the configure scheduled time option that allows us to be able to deploy this job during the maintenance window that has been scheduled on that particular group. And the benefit of this obviously being we could do a deployment across all devices and know that at that point in time, the devices or the jobs would be delayed on those groups that have maintenance windows that have already been scheduled. And so we think that those are really, really helpful. As I said, within the last couple of days already, I've seen practical use cases of many of these. And it's obviously the start of, I'm sure, many changes around the way of being able to schedule different deployments or actively control the deployments in different ways. So a quick recap, obviously the ability to be able to get into your properties of any of these folders by either right-clicking or by selecting on the properties button above. We have the ability to go and add any of the default jobs or profiles. And obviously in doing that, once you've made your selection, you have the possibility to be able to include or exclude, and also make a selection of the model of devices that need to be included. That same window is applicable if I was to go to the deployment of a job on a particular group. You will see once I've selected the job, I'm given the filtered window as a next step, and I can make my same selection as part of that. And then the third was obviously that device maintenance window. So right-click, properties, and the last option on this list allows us to be able to set up this maintenance window for the group that has been selected. And a reminder, this is only available on Android and would need to be linked to the deployment of a job that's done using the configure button, the configure deployment. So obviously once we're applying either be it to a group or to a set of devices, we have configure schedule time, and we would select the last option, which would be that it would be deployed during the maintenance window that you've defined per group or subgroup. So there we go. I hope that that's really helpful. I'm going to touch on just one or two of the other reminders that we have. Jump forward. There we go. A reminder for those of you who either joined a little late on this one or missed the first 3 episodes that we hosted. We have a playlist on our 42 Gears YouTube channel, and you're welcome to use the QR code in the bottom right-hand side to link directly to that. And please go back and have a look at those. We're hoping to make them short and direct, I guess, so that in the future, if somebody was looking for a particular feature or function, there would be a very short, quick video that would allow you to be able to see exactly how to use it. And then a reminder that we are tracking, obviously, the attendance. We have a number of prizes available at the end of the year. We were going to give you, I guess, a leaderboard at this period of time, but we've decided with Gabby and Armand not being on this call that we'll do it during the next, and obviously give you, I guess, a view on who's already up there in terms of the attendance. So every attendance, every session that you attend gets you another entry into the lucky draw, and that will be drawn at the end of the series or the season of Bits and Bolts webinars, which will be at the end of December. Upcoming dates, the next will be on the 7th of May, and that will be at 10 a.m. British Standard Time. And you'll see, obviously, we've given you some forward dates to the end of June, and a reminder that the link stays the same. So each week you can join with that same link, or every second week you can join with the same link, and be able to access the series as we have it. Chris, thank you firstly for your help today. For those of you who haven't seen, Chris has joined us. Chris is responsible for the partner marketing in our APAC region. Any questions come through so far?
No, not that I can see, Stuart.
Perfect. All right, not a problem. And we're not going to, please, as you will see on the screen, there is email addresses for our partner marketing team, our tech support, and Armand and myself. So if there are any questions on anything that I've touched on today, please feel free to drop me a message, and I'd be happy to help you as you need. Thank you very much, everybody. I wish you all a good day, and see you on the 7th with the rest of the team back again. Cheers.